Well, it's Tuesday, September 29th, 2015, and here I am at Oshkosh at the Sonex factory for transition training. So looking forward to a couple of hours of ground school and then a couple hours in the airplane if weather permits. Kind of cloudy and overcast, a little bit windy. We'll see what it brings, but hey, I'm ready for it and I'm looking forward to flying here and getting trained for my first flight, which is coming soon. So blue skies, we'll see what we get.
But anyway, so yeah, it's just, flaring too high is real common. You just have to work on that sight picture and just avoid the temptation to you think you're flying your Cherokee or something. No.
Right.
Fly the thing down to the runway, give it that extra second or two of descent, and then go ahead and start your flare, and you should be just about.
And it's not a real flare so much as holding the attitude and letting it
You're
settle.
looking for 3-point attitude, but nothing more.
Okay.
Always looking for 3-point attitude, but nothing more. And what you want to do there is you want to look as far down the runway as you can to try to figure out your height. But once you bring it up into 3-point attitude, your straight ahead is going to go away from you. Yeah. So you're looking just kind of at an angle a little bit, but you still want to look as far away from the airplane as you can. People start looking right next to the airplane, and amazingly enough, it's harder to tell how high above the ground you are if you're looking right next to the airplane than it is if you're looking down the runway a little bit. Try to look as far away from the airplane as you can. Otherwise, you can't really tell if you're at 2 feet or 10 feet if you're looking right next to the airplane, because things are going by so fast, and it just doesn't work for you. So try to look as far down the runway as you can. It'll help you find that attitude. And again, you're looking for 3-point attitude anyway, so you should be looking at the nose, not down next to the airplane.
Okay.
So. And this is where that long nose and that long glare shield starts to really show you its unique personality. So we're in a left turn now. There's your instrument panel, canopy, firewall, creases there. Now you're in the left seat. You're on the bottom of the you're on the low side of the turn. I'm in the right seat. I'm on the high side of the turn. For two reasons, everybody always loses altitude in left turns at first if they're sitting in the left seat. Two reasons are this. Number one, because the engine's turning that way, when you roll into a left turn, it tends to pull the nose down. So your gyroscopic precession leads you to try to lose altitude anyway. And the fact that your head's down here on the low side of the turn, everybody seems to want to put the horizon about in the middle like that. Doesn't work. Airplanes dive at about 1,000 feet a minute. The horizon for you in the left seat in the left turn is going to be right down in the corner down there. Something like that. It's gonna initially appear that the nose is way too high, but it's not. It's just the way the sight picture works out. So when you start your left turn, don't let the nose drop as you roll into the turn, and then try to hold the horizon somewhere in this bottom third of the windshield there. There's actually a couple of screws out there where the firewall meets the windshield. Sometimes a guy will get lucky and that'll line up on the horizon when you're making your turn. So there will be some kind of a clue out there that you can use to line it up. But it's just going to initially appear that the nose is way too high. That's just the way it is in the Sonex. So get used to that. And of course, you probably already thought ahead to realize that the opposite's going to be true when you're in the left seat in a right turn. So now you're in a right turn. The canopy got higher for some reason. Now your head's at the top. You're on the upper side, the top side of the turn, and I'm on the bottom. So, and again, now we turn to the right. Engine tends to, or the gyroscopic precession tends to pull the nose up. And again, your mind initially tells you that the horizon should be in the middle. Doesn't work. Now you're gaining altitude in the turn. In the right turn, from the left seat, your horizon's going to be just again, kind of right up in there, about the top third of the windshield. So give or take again, depending on just how high your head is in the airplane. But again, you'll figure out some part of the panel or something you can use as a guide to get you to make that turn fairly level. So you tend to lose altitude to the left and tend to gain altitude to the right. So you just keep that in the back of your mind and kind of adjust accordingly. You'll do pretty good. So like I say, we'll do some 90-degree turns and back to level flight, which will help you see the turn, but it'll also help you find level flight again. And then once you get that figured out, then we'll do some 180-degree turns and let you hold the turn a little longer and make sure you try to maintain altitude. And once you get pretty good at that, then we'll do some 360s, make sure that you can hold it all the way around the turn.
Do you need to touch the power?
Maybe. I usually run them pretty high when we're doing this. I usually run 3100. So unless you're doing a real steep turn, Once you load the airplane up with G's, then it really drags the power down. You gotta bump a little power, but just doing normal turns, usually not. You might lose a little speed, but you probably don't need any extra power. So that's what we'll do. So once you get that figured out, you can make turns and maintain your altitude and come back to level flight and maintain you've kind of got the sight picture part of it figured out. Then we can go into our slow flight and get the feel of it at various different speeds, show you how slow the thing will actually fly.
Can you talk briefly about the pitch up attitude for the climb out? What kind of pitch you like to
Yeah,
have?
yeah. That's another thing on the climb out. I get two different kinds of people. People that want to climb real flat, and people that want to climb like a rocket. And the Sonex is kind of halfway in between. So you'll find the pitch attitude. I find in the tail wheel it's just a little bit higher than what it looks like on the ground as far as 3-point attitude. It's just slightly higher than 3-point attitude.
For me, it's about, I don't know if it's like the culling has to be about 2 inches above the
horizon. Yeah.
If you got nothing but sky in the front,
you're
going to be too slow, and the temperatures are going to go up on the engine and everything.
Yeah.
You know, and if the culling's too low, obviously you're not climbing.
Yeah, pretty much it. You have you'll have a RPM indication on the screen here. You'll also have one over here. They use this airframe as one of the very early test beds for the turbo.
Okay.
So they put in a second instrument so they'd have a manifold pressure gauge over here at the time. That doesn't work anymore. It'll still just read atmospheric. It's not hooked up to anything.
Okay.
But the RPM gauge does work. So you have RPM here, and you'll also have it up at the top of the screen here.
Okay.
So, and like I say, I'll explain that once we get started. So,
okay.
You want to crack the throttle a smidge, and then when you're ready, flip all the switches on.
Switches on. Master 2. Okay.
And then clear.
Thanks, Joe. Awesome.